Some people come with a cup. You fill up the cup. That's just enough for them. Others come with a bowl. Fill up the bowl. Others come with a bathtub. Others come with a jacuzzi. So each one has a point of saturation. So if a devotee is not doing his sadhana, he's not digesting the teachings once he takes them in. Now you quote something from the lesson today that has to be digested. You have to take it through all the processes of your inner mind, which happens automatically on sadhana in the background. You all have computers. There's the foreground of the computer, and a lot more happens in the background. So as you're doing your sadhana may be very repetitious, it may be very boring. It's supposed to be. But in the background, your superconscious mind is putting information in your subconscious mind, and you're beginning to understand the depths of the teachings. Have you ever read a verse from the Vedas? This from the Vedas? It's really not clear. Probably the translation is wrong. But you read it, you took it in. A month later you happen on the same verse. It's absolutely clear. It's not only clear, you can explain it and give your own bhashya on it to someone else. Now how did that happen? That happened because you digested the teachings within yourself because you did your regular daily sadhana. And in the background, the superconscious is working through the subconscious, which we call the sub-superconscious, and the light of understanding is there. And you would say, I always knew that. That's the way it is, and that's the way it is. On pilgrimage, you know, you can worship the 33 million gods, and but in your home, it's best to stay worshipping Ganesha, Muruga, and Shiva that are explained in our sampradaya, and you narrow it down to that, otherwise it's very complex. Have you seen a typical Hindu altar? There's pictures all over the place. You don't know where you are. You know, it's like an extended family picture album. So you have to focus the Shakti where you want it, and where your Guru directs that to happen, along with the other devotees. Pilgrimage, the benefits of pilgrimage is from the time you begin. Generally the pilgrimage begins about a month before you leave your home. You're making the preparations. You're doing some kind of a sacrifice. Maybe giving up dairy products, or something of that nature. Maybe sleeping on the floor instead of in a soft bed. And then the pilgrimage begins, and everything you go through along the way to get to your destination is the cleansing of your karmas. You get to your destination, and then you're there, and you left the world behind. So it's a process of leaving the thoughts of the world behind, or whatever the world is to you, all of your daily life, activities, chores, so forth, behind. Now, of course, it wouldn't be a pilgrimage if you arrived at your destination, plugged in your computer and got back on the internet and started at work. I'm always reminded of our going on a pilgrimage to Ramana Maharishi's ashram in Tiruvannamalai. And we arrived, and they said, it was really nice that you've come. And we said, yes, we've come here on a pilgrimage. Oh, they said, oh no, you didn't come on a pilgrimage, you came in a car. then later they explain, well, if you came on a pilgrimage, you'd come like third class on the train, or one of those bumpy buses, or something like that. Of course, those days are sort of gone now. Everybody goes in a car. But that gives you the spirit, the old-fashioned spirit of pilgrimage. It should be uncomfortable enough to make you live a different kind of life for a time.
We have our sutras which help guide us for living a dharmic life. We follow these to create good karma. But to attain moksha, must we have no karma?
You'll have a little bit of karma, but it won't be the karma that will pull you back into a physical birth. What pulls you back into a physical birth are desires that can only be fulfilled in a physical body. So if you have desires for sex, money, which is the exchange between people, all certain kinds of special foods or special clothing, those are the four major ones, and there are a lot of other minor desires. Well, they cannot be fulfilled in the Atara Loka. They have to be fulfilled in a physical body. So therefore you will come back to physical birth to fulfill those desires. So you might ask, well, how much money do you have to get before you don't desire it anymore? Well, 50 million might do it for some people and even more for others. Desire leads to the creation of karma, and the creation of karma leads to more desires to create more karmas. So the principle of sadhana is to transmute or change the direction of your desires. Now some people desire to listen to the radio when they wake up in the morning and hear the news of the day. It's a desire. Finally, the desire becomes a habit. Then they begin their sadhana. That, listening to the news on the radio doesn't fit into the mood of the sadhana, so they have to give that up. They have to learn to desire performing the sadhana more than listening to the news of the external world. So it's the same force of desire up a higher level. Then they're doing all of the rituals. And then they have to learn to sit quietly and watch their mind think. So they have to go to the next desire, transmute the desire of doing ritualistic sadhana into meditation. So it's the same force of desire which gets changed, redirected. Now that happens naturally as people age. And it happens mechanically when people are younger. There's a state of mind that's sort of like Lord Shiva. It's called ignorance. It's all pervasive. It's found equally everywhere, ignorance. So when we're in the physical body, we're sort of in a semi-state of ignorance. And we get the external becomes more real than the internal. And we begin to build a wall between the internal and the external. That wall is the subconscious mind. Likes and dislikes, I like you and I don't like you, I like this and I don't like that. That builds a wall between the internal bliss. And then the sadhana takes that wall down. And that's the process we go through as we mature. Redirecting the desire. Because most people get set up in life, they're educated for a career, then they start performing the career and it's repetitive. their habits get built into their career and their spare time, and that becomes repetitive. Basically, after they've lived 10 years in their career, they're predictable what they're going to do, what they're going to think, what they're going to say, what they do on Saturday, what they do on Sunday, and all through the week. And it gets very dull, finally. It's no longer exciting. But they're driven forward because of duty, responsibility to family and children and education and all of that. Then it comes a time when they, they get older, they naturally go more inward. So they start changing their desires. They desire a more quiet life. They desire their sadhana. It becomes important to them. But the same desire gets refined, as I previously explained. And that breaks those cycles, those monotonous cycles that people get into by changing the desire. And you can do that deliberately. Watch your cycles, what you do every day, and what's important to you. A pilgrimage is important to you. You wouldn't be here. Listening to these things is important to you, else you wouldn't be here. Now the priest here was doing our sadhana for us, which you can do when you get home also. And do these sadhanas, but it's important at the same time every day. That's the important thing. The length of time of the sadhana is not that important. It's the timing that's important. That's the discipline. I'll tell you why it's important in just a minute. So the length can either be 5 minutes, 10 minutes, a half an hour, depending on your enjoyment of your performance of sadhana. But why is the timing very important? That it begins at the right time every day is because the inner world people will be there at that particular time. The door will open at that particular time in the inner world, and they will see you doing your sadhana. They'll help you perform your sadhana. But if you're not there, the door will open and you're not, where are they? And the next day, where are they? And then finally they'd say, well, I guess they're not doing the sadhana anymore. So it's an agreement between you and the inner worlds. It's a contract. And you have to live up to your end of the contract, and they're going to live up to their end of the contract, because they're also earning good punyam for maybe a really good birth by helping you. Not every day in the inner world is there permanently. Many of them serve there, and they're going to eventually reincarnate. So right at the end, when you leave your body never to come back, everybody becomes a sannyasin. Everybody becomes a renunciate of the world. Minutes before they depart the body, they have no desire for sex, no desire for food, no desire for clothes. Money means nothing to them. Then they're in the antara loka, looking at their physical body, seeing their friends, seeing their relatives, meeting friends and relatives there, and rishis and everybody who come to receive them. They're happy, they're free.